Hello, and welcome to Sci-Fi Stories. Human Red. Arena of Stars. Chapter 1. Blood and Sand Among the Stars. The first thing Ryan noticed was the smell. Not metal, not oil, not blood, though all of those lingered faintly in the air. The dominant scent was something sharp and alien, like crushed copper leaves burned on stone. He drew in a careful breath as he opened his eyes. He was lying on a slab of black alloy, shackled at the wrists and ankles. A dome of light shimmered overhead, its surface alive with glyphs that shifted like fireflies. For a moment, his soldier's instincts screamed ambush, but there were no enemies, no battlefield, no squad. Just silence, broken by the hiss of doors parting open. Two figures entered. They were tall, armored in segmented silver plates that curved like the carapace of insects. Their skin, visible at the neck and jaw, was the color of pale stone, almost translucent. They regarded him with eyes like liquid mercury, unreadable. Human, one of them said in a voice that was deep, but oddly resonant, carrying a hum that vibrated in Ryan's bones. You will rise. The shackles released with a hiss. Ryan sat up slowly, testing his limbs. Bruises and stiffness lingered from capture. The last thing he remembered was the desperate firefight on the mining colony, the blinding flash of alien stun charges, and then darkness. He stood. Both guards towered over him by a head, but Ryan didn't shrink. Where am I? They ignored the question. One gestured and the slab folded away into the floor. You will fight. If you live, you will live. If you fall, your body returns to dust. That is the way. Ryan frowned. Fight. For what? The second guard tilted his head, as though puzzled that the human did not understand. Then he spoke a single phrase, one Ryan would hear whispered countless times in the days ahead. The arena of stars. They marched him through a corridor that pulsed faintly, like the interior of some great beast. Ahead, the roar of a crowd built until the air vibrated. Ryan's stomach tightened. He had fought before, against pirates, raiders, and the alien machines of the Rim War, but nothing prepared him for this sound. It was not the orderly chants of soldiers, but a wild cacophony, bloodthirsty and exultant. The gates parted, light flooded in, brilliant and harsh. Ryan stepped onto sand that glittered like crushed glass under alien suns. The arena was colossal. An open amphitheater stretching high into the sky, ringed with tiers of spectators. The people were varied, some with azure skin and red hair like flames, others pale as marble, some with horns curving back from their temples. All shouted, stamped, and waved banners woven with symbols that Ryan couldn't read. Above, suspended by shimmering energy, hovered a colossal sigil, a star fractured into shards. Behold, a voice thundered, amplified across the stadium. Another offering, a human taken from the edge of the void. Let his struggle honor the gods of contest. The crowd howled with approval. Ryan's jaw tightened as he scanned the far side of the arena, where weapons lay scattered across a rack of bone-white metal. Instinct drove him forward. He seized the nearest thing that resembled a blade. It was heavier than steel, its edge rippling faintly with energy. A gate on the opposite side yawned open. From the shadows lumbered a beast, six-limbed, scaled, its maw lined with translucent fangs. Its eyes burned violet as it roared, the sound rattling Ryan's chest. Of course, Ryan muttered. Always a monster. The beast charged, sand sprayed under its limbs. Ryan sidestepped, barely fast enough, feeling the gust of its passing. He slashed, and the blade sparked across armored hide. Too shallow. The creature wheeled and lunged. Ryan dove, rolling beneath its strike, coming up behind it. He aimed for the joints, driving the blade between armored plates. A shriek tore from the beast as its green blood sprayed across him, and the crowd roared approval. Ryan's ragged breathing was apparent. He ducked under another swipe, then sprang forward, planting both boots against the beast's flank, and with a desperate heave, he drove the blade upward through the softer flesh beneath its jaw. The creature spasmed, collapsed, and lay still. Ryan stood, panting, blade dripping, eyes scanning the crowd. He expected another beast, another fight. Instead, a figure rose in the high balcony. She was radiant, beautiful, tall, broad-shouldered, clad in armor that shimmered blue like the sea under lightning. Her skin was the color of deep cobalt, and her hair a blaze of scarlet that spilled down her back. Across her back rested a massive spear, etched with symbols that glowed faintly. When she raised her hand, the entire stadium fell silent. Her voice carried effortlessly, strong and commanding. The human has fought well. Few survive their first trial. Fewer still strike true. The crowd answered with a chant, booming and rhythmic. Serena, Serena, Serena. The name struck Ryan's ears even as he fixed his gaze on her. Her eyes, a molten gold, locked with his. For a heartbeat, the world narrowed to that single point of connection. Then she smiled, faintly, and sat back upon her throne. Crowd's chant only grew louder. And Ryan realized, with a cold weight in his gut, that this was only the beginning. Chapter 2. The Champion's Claim. The corridors beneath the arena smelled of sweat, oil, and stone. Ryan staggered as the guards shoved him forward, his muscles burning from the fight. The green blood of the beast still clung to his arms, tacky and acidic, but he refused to show weakness. He had survived. That was enough. The guards halted at a towering gate inscribed with glowing runes. One spoke in that humming, resonant voice. "Wait! The champion comes!" Ryan frowned, breathing hard. Champion? The gate opened. Light spilled through. But it wasn't the searing blaze of the arena above, but a softer golden light that filtered through crystal panels. A chamber unfolded before him, vast and opulent. Silk banners hung from the ceiling, woven with depictions of warriors locked in eternal combat. Pillars rose like trees of stone, their surfaces carved with flowing script. And at the center, seated upon a dais of silver, was the woman he had seen. She was taller than he remembered, or perhaps it was the aura she carried that made her seem to fill the space. Her blue skin gleamed under the light, her scarlet hair like fire against steel. The armor she'd worn above was gone, replaced with a flowing mantle of dark cloth that revealed powerful shoulders and arms etched with faint, ceremonial tattoos. The massive spear leaned against her throne, humming softly. Her golden eyes studied him with a calm intensity that unsettled him more than the beast had. Ryan straightened. He was a soldier, a prisoner, but he would not bow. "So, you're the one they chant for." Her lips curved faintly, not quite a smile. "You survived." "I'm hard to kill." "Many say that. Few prove it." Her voice was clear, melodic, but every word carried weight, as though she'd been trained to rule from birth. Ryan folded his arms. "If you're here to congratulate me, don't bother. I didn't fight for your crowd. I fought to stay alive." At that the champion stood. She descended the dais with a predator's grace, her mantle flowing behind her. Up close, Ryan realized she was his equal in height, unusual for an alien female, and her build was one honed of strength. She stopped an arm's length away, tilting her head slightly, as though appraising him. "Your defiance will serve you," she said. "It will also damn you if you do not temper it." Ryan's jaw clenched. "What do you want from me?" The chamber doors boomed open. A procession entered, robed officials with elongated crowns, their faces severe and painted with silver dust. They approached the dais, bowing low before the champion. One intoned, his voice echoing. "Lady Serena Valeth, champion of the arena, guardian of the pact. By ancient custom you may claim your prize from today's trial." Ryan's eyes narrowed. "Prize?" The official gestured at him with disdain. "The alien survived against the fanged Korath. By right, he belongs to you. You may cast him to the slave pens, or claim him as consort." Ryan's breath caught. "Wait, consort?" The crowd of officials shifted expectantly. All eyes turned to Serena as she regarded Ryan, her golden eyes glinting. He braced himself for her rejection, for her to dismiss him back into chains. Instead, she lifted her hand. "I claim him," the officials murmured and scandalized. The air grew thick with tension, and Ryan's chest tightened. "You what?" Serena's gaze didn't waver. "You are mine now. By law, by blood, by steel. You will stand at my side as consort, and the people will see your strength reflect upon me." Ryan laughed harshly, though there was no humor in it. "You think I'll just play along? I'm not some token you can wave in front of your court." Her voice softened, though the steel remained. "You already are. The choice was never yours. It was mine." The officials bowed again, though unease lingered in their stiff postures. "It is done. The human belongs to the champion." As they withdrew, Ryan turned on her, fury sparking in his chest. "Why me? Out of all the fighters, all the warriors you could choose, why a human? Why an outsider?" For the first time, Serena's mask cracked, just slightly. Her golden eyes flicked toward the fading banners of the arena, then back to him. "Because," she said softly, enough that only he could hear, "I am tired of chains I cannot break, and I think you might be the key to shattering them." Ryan stared at her, trying to read the meaning beneath her words. He saw the champion the crowd adored, the warrior who commanded armies with a glance, but he also saw for the first time the weight she carried. He exhaled slowly. "You just married yourself trouble, Serena." Her lips curved again, sharper this time, like the edge of a blade. "Good. Trouble is what this empire needs." Chapter 3. Politics and Chains. The champion's palace was a fortress carved into the cliffs overlooking the arena. From its balconies, Ryan could see the endless sea of banners and towers stretching across the city, the glow of alien suns painting the skyline in hues of violet and crimson. His new quarters were luxurious, marble-like floors that shimmered faintly, silk bedding woven from fibers that caught the light like stars, food delivered on trays of gold. To a man who'd lived months on rations and battlefield bunks, it should have been a paradise. But Ryan knew a cage when he saw one. Guards stood outside his door at all times, their silver armor catching every flicker of torchlight. The windows were warded with shimmering energy fields, and though no chains bound his wrists, the truth was clear. He was as much a prisoner here as he had been in the arena below. On the third evening, the champion came to him. She entered without ceremony, clad not in armor, but in a robe of deep black that left one shoulder bare. The golden tattoos along her arms glowed faintly, tracing patterns like constellations. Her hair, loose tonight, spilled in scarlet waves down her back. Ryan was standing at the window, staring at the alien city beyond. He didn't turn as she approached. "Enjoying your cage?" Serena asked, her voice a low hum. Ryan's jaw tightened. Some cage. Feather pillows, fine wine, guards at the door. Luxury prison is still a prison. "You live," she replied simply. "Most who step into the arena do not." He turned then, meeting her golden eyes. "And for that I should be grateful to you? To the same system that threw me into that pit to die?" A flicker of something, guilt, or perhaps anger, passed across her face. She stepped closer, closing the distance between them until she was only a breath away. "You think I am free of that system? You think I do not bleed for it every day I stand in that arena? Every time I kill to satisfy the Council?" Ryan studied her. For the first time he saw cracks in the armor of the champion. Her shoulders, though strong, carried a weight he could not see. "You could walk away," he said. Her laugh was short, bitter. "Walk away, and the Council chooses another. Someone crueler, someone who will grind the people into dust instead of giving them hope. My victories are the only leash I have them on." Ryan frowned. "So I'm what? A political pawn to strengthen your position? A prop for your image?" Her gaze softened, though it was still as sharp as a blade. "At first, yes. A consort claimed from the arena. Exotic, defiant, dangerous. It unsettles the Council. That is useful to me." "And now?" Serena tilted her head, considering the question. "Now, I am not sure." For a moment silence stretched between them. Ryan felt his heartbeat quicken despite himself. She was alien. Every detail of her, from her cobalt skin to her molten gold eyes, her blazing scarlet hair, everything screamed otherworldly. Yet she was close enough that he could feel the warmth of her body, the faint scent of something sweet and sharp, like spices carried on the wind. He stepped back first, forcing space back in between them. "If you think betting me will make me part of your game, think again." Her lips curved faintly. "Bold words when refusal is not an option." Ryan's fists clenched. "Then kill me. Better that than being used." Serena's eyes narrowed, but instead of striking him, she laughed, a low, amused sound that echoed in the chamber. "You are unlike any consort I have ever known, human. Most beg for my favor. You spit in my face." "I'm not here to play consort," Ryan said. "I'm here because your people took me." Her smile faded as she studied him for a long moment. Then she turned back toward the door. "Perhaps one day you will see that our chains are not so different." With that she left, her scarlet hair trailing behind her like fire. Later that night, Ryan lay awake, staring at the strange constellations etched into the ceiling. His body still ached from the arena, but his thoughts burned hotter than any wound. He remembered the way her voice had softened when she spoke of the Council, the flash of something vulnerable beneath her warrior's mask. She was more than the bloodthirsty idol the crowd adored. She was trapped, same as him. But that didn't mean he trusted her. Not yet. The Council wasted no time in reminding him of his place. The next morning, Ryan was escorted to a chamber of black stone, where 7 figures sat on thrones, arranged in a crescent. Each wore elaborate robes heavy with jewels, their pale faces painted in patterns of silver and crimson. Their eyes glittered with disdain as he entered. "This is the alien," one said, his voice oily. "The human consort." "A dangerous precedent," another murmured. "To mix blood with an off-worlder. The champion plays a reckless game." Ryan kept his expression neutral. He had been interrogated by enemy officers before. These creatures were no different, just cloaked in pomp and ritual. The eldest of the seven leaned forward, her crown a towering structure of bone. "Human, you are bound to our champion now. You will smile when told, stand when commanded, and spill your blood for her honor. Do you understand?" Ryan met her gaze unflinching. "I understand you're afraid." A ripple of outrage spread across the council. One slammed his fist against the stone. "Insolence!" The elder hissed, but his eyes flicked sideways toward Serena, who stood behind Ryan with her spear in hand. The champion's expression gave away nothing, but Ryan could almost feel her amusement. The elders leaned back slowly. "Let us see how long his defiance lasts." That night, Serena returned again to Ryan's chamber. This time, she carried two blades, and she tossed one onto the floor before him. "Fight me," Ryan blinked. "What?" "Fight me," she repeated, golden eyes alight with challenge. "You are no one's pawn, yes? Prove it." He bent, picking up the blade. It was heavier than human, but perfectly balanced. Serena stepped into a circle of light cast by the chamber torches, her robe discarded, clad only in training armor of leather and bronze. Her movements were fluid, predatory. Ryan tightened his grip. "You'll regret this." Her lips curved. "Make me." The clash of steel rang out into the night, echoing across the palace halls. And for the first time, Ryan realized that perhaps his chains were not meant to hold him down, but to bind him to a destiny larger than he had ever imagined. Chapter 4. Blades, Betrayal, and Desire. The ring of steel echoed in the chamber, sharp and relentless. Ryan's arms burned with exertion as Serena pressed her advantage, her blade a blur of motion. She struck high, low, and then swept in a wide arc meant to disarm. He caught the strike just in time, their blades locking. Sparks spat as energy fields crackled along the steel. "You're slow, human," she taunted, breast steady despite the sweat beading her cobalt skin. Ryan gritted his teeth and shoved her back, forcing her to stumble. "You're cocky, champion." She laughed, the sound fierce and bright. "Good. Bite back." They circled, their bare feet whispering across polished stone. Ryan lunged, feinting left before pivoting into a real strike. Serena parried smoothly, but his second strike came quicker, the edge of his blade stopping just shy of her throat. For a heartbeat, silence. Then her golden eyes glowed with satisfaction. "Better." In a blur she twisted, knocking his weapon free, and shoved him hard, enough that his back slammed against a pillar. The impact rattled his teeth, and she pressed the flat of her blade to his chest, just above his heart. Her face hovered close, scarlet hair falling forward, brushing against his skin, her breath hot against his lips. Ryan's pulse hammered. "If this is your idea of courtship, you've got a hell of a technique." Her lips curved faintly, though her eyes remained hard. "Courtship? No. This is war. And you fight me better than anyone has in years." Ryan swallowed hard, trying to ignore the electric charge running through his veins. She smelled of steel, sweat, and the spice that lingered like embers. Alien. Dangerous. Irresistible. Serena tilted her head, studying him. "Why do you resist me, Ryan? Any other warrior would already be on their knees, begging to share my bed." "Maybe I don't like being owned," he said, voice low. Her smile sharpened. Then stop thinking of yourself as owned. The silence between them thickened, heavy as a thunderstorm. Ryan could have shoved her away, could have broken the tension with another sarcastic remark. Instead, his hand moved almost without thought, brushing a strand of scarlet hair from her face. Her eyes widened, not with surprise, but with something deeper. And then she kissed him. It was not gentle. It was a clash, like their blades. Fierce, demanding, testing. Ryan met her with equal fire, their mouths colliding, teeth grazing. Her free hand gripped his shoulder, nails biting into flesh. His hand slid to her waist, pulling her closer. The blade clattered to the floor, forgotten. When at last they broke apart, both were breathing hard. Serena's golden eyes blazed, but her voice, when she spoke, was low. You are dangerous, she whispered. Ryan smirked, though his heart thundered. You married me, remember? For the first time she laughed. Not the cold, calculated laugh of a warrior, but something real, bright, almost reckless. The nights that followed blurred between sparring and passion, each as fierce as the other. In the training halls they clashed blades until bruises bloomed across their bodies. In her chambers they clashed with equal ferocity, until sweat and heat left them tangled beneath silk sheets. And yet, between the fire, something else took root. She began to tell him fragments of her life, how she'd been raised not as a daughter, but a weapon, trained from childhood to inherit the champion's mantle. How her victories kept the council in check. Every triumph chained her tighter to their system. But how she dreamed, secretly, foolishly, of an arena silenced forever. Ryan listened. For the first time since his capture, he began to see her not just as a captor or lover, but as someone trapped just as he was. Still, danger lurked. One night, after their sparring had left both of them sprawled in exhaustion, Serena lay across his chest, her hair spilling across his skin. Her voice was quiet, almost fragile. The council whispers already. They fear what you and I might become together. A champion who claims an off-world consort. It unsettles them. Ryan stroked her hair absently, frowning. Unsettled people do stupid things. Yes, she murmured. And the council is never more dangerous than when afraid. The danger came sooner than either expected. A week later, Ryan was summoned back into the arena. He expected another beast, another bloody spectacle. Instead, the gates opposite of him opened to reveal a warrior. Tall, armored, 4 arms, and a blade in each. Ryan's gut twisted. This wasn't random. It was a test, a trap, and the council wanted blood. The warrior bowed mockingly toward Serena's balcony, then turned his gaze to Ryan. His grin was cruel. The gong sounded, and the warrior charged. Ryan barely dodged the first strike, sparks exploding as steel scraped his borrowed blade. The warrior was skilled, brutal, and faster than anything Ryan had fought before. Blow after blow rained down, driving him back across the sand. Above, Serena gripped the railing, golden eyes blazing. Ryan knew it then. This wasn't just about him. This was the council's challenge to her authority. If he died here, it would prove her consort weak, her choice foolish, which meant failure wasn't an option. He planted his feet, parried a vicious downward strike, and snarled, "Not today." With a surge of desperate strength, he twisted, locked the warrior's arm, and drove his blade home. The crowd gasped as alien blood splattered across the sand. The warrior staggered, shocked, then collapsed. Ryan stood panting over the corpse, blade dripping, chest heaving, and he raised his weapon high, defiance burning in every line of his body. The arena exploded in cheers. Above, Serena's eyes locked on his, fierce and proud. The council, seated in shadow behind her, did not cheer. They had tested the human, and the result only made their fear grow deeper. Chapter 5: The Uprising. The night after Ryan's victory, the palace was restless. Torches burned late in the halls. Messengers whispered urgently to armored guards. The air carried a tension Ryan knew too well. The same charged silence before a battlefield erupts into chaos. He lay awake in Serena's chamber, the silken sheets tangled around his legs. Her warmth curled against his chest. For once, she slept deeply, her breathing slow and steady, her scarlet hair strewn across his skin like a living flame. But Ryan could not sleep, not when he could feel eyes on them from every shadow. The whispers began within days. It was a handmaid, pale and trembling, who let the truth slip as she bowed before Serena in the training hall. "Forgive me, champion, but the healers speak. They say your blood sings differently now, that an air grows within you." Ryan froze mid-stretch. Serena's blade clattered to the floor. For a heartbeat, the mighty champion looked no different than a startled girl. Her golden eyes turned slowly toward Ryan, wide with shock, then her mask slid back into place. "Leave us," she ordered, her voice sharp. The handmaid fled, skirts fluttering. Ryan stepped forward carefully. "Serena?" She shook her head, pacing like a caged beast. "It cannot be. I have taken every precaution. The healer said a union between our kind and yours. Impossible." Ryan gave a humorless laugh. "Guess no one told biology that." Her hands trembled. She pressed them against her stomach, just below the tattoos of her lineage. "If this is true—" Ryan's chest tightened. "Then what?" She lifted her gaze to him, eyes blazing with both wonder and terror. "Then the council will never allow it. A child born of champion and alien consort? It would shatter their control. They will kill us both before they let such a thing live." The first attempt came that night. Ryan woke to the hiss of a blade cutting through silk. Instinct threw him sideways, dragging Serena with them as a dagger sliced the space where her throat had been. The assassin, lithe, masked, his skin painted ash gray, lunged again. Ryan grabbed a training spear from the wall and rammed it forward. The impact drove the assassin into a pillar, the crack of ribs echoing through the chamber. Serena rolled to her feet, snatching a fallen blade, and in a single savage strike, ended the assassin's life. For a long moment the only sound was their ragged breathing, and blood seeped across the marble floor. Ryan spat. "So much for your council's loyalty." Serena's eyes burned like molten gold. "They want a war? Then let them have it." The next day the palace had changed. Guards loyal to Serena stood tighter around her chambers. Courtiers and servants fled in silence, fearing to be caught in the storm. And in the training yards, whispers spread among the gladiators. Ryan saw it in their eyes. Men and women, scarred from endless battles, forced to kill for the amusement of the council. For years they had bent to Serena's victories, as proof the system worked. But now, the champion herself was under threat, with an alien consort who had defied the arena and lived. Something new flickered there. Hope. One evening a scarred gladiator approached Ryan as he sharpened a blade. His voice was low, urgent. "Human, word spreads. The champion carries your child. If it is true, then maybe the gods have sent you to break our chains." Ryan looked at him, startled. "You want to follow me?" The gladiator's scarred lips twisted. "Not you. Her. Always her. But you. You are the sign. Together, maybe, you can burn this empire down." That night, Serena gathered Ryan and her most loyal fighters in the war chamber. The walls flickered with holograms of the city, the arena, in the council citadel. "They will strike again," she said, her voice steady, though her hands clenched the table. "Not with daggers this time, but with an army. They cannot allow my bloodline to change. They cannot allow hope to take root in the sand." Ryan rested his palms on the table, scanning the maps. "So we take the fight to them." Her golden eyes met his. For once, she didn't argue, didn't lecture. She only nodded. "Yes." One of her generals, a grizzled man with violet scars, spoke up. "If the arena falls, the people will rise. They have worshipped its blood for generations. If they see it burn, they will turn against the council." Serena's gaze hardened. "Then the arena will be our battlefield." Ryan felt the weight of it settle in his bones. The place that had nearly killed him, that had bound him in chains of blood and spectacle. Now it would be their place of rebellion. He looked at Serena, fire in her eyes, scarlet hair blazing in torchlight. She was a warrior, lover, leader, and now, carrying the impossible spark of their future. Ryan tightened his grip on the blade. "Then let's end this, once and for all." Chapter 6. Fire in the Sand. The arena was alive with bloodlust. Tens of thousands roared from terraces, the air trembling with their voices. The high sun burned above, blazing against the golden spires of the council's citadel that loomed over the amphitheater. Ryan stood in the sands, every nerve taut. The chains that once bound him were gone. Serena herself had cast them aside. But he felt the same pit in his gut, the same weight of survival pressing down on his chest. Only now, the stakes were not his life alone, but hers, and the impossible child she carried. Serena walked at his side, her armor gleaming cobalt and crimson. Her scarlet hair blazed in the wind, and the crowd's roar shifted when they saw her. Admiration laced with uncertainty, as if the people sensed something was different today. At the end of the arena, the massive gates opened. A line of gladiators marched forward, armed and armored, eyes hollow. Ryan recognized them. Fighters he had trained beside, bled beside. Today, they were sent to kill him. And her. Above the sands, the councilors stood on their dais, draped in silks and jewels, their alien faces carved into masks of disdain. The High Counselor raised a hand, his voice amplified by the arena's vox amplifiers. "Today the champion faces judgment. She has broken sacred law, tainted her lineage with alien blood. By combat she shall prove her worth, or perish." The crowd howled, some cheered, some jeered. The noise was a thunderstorm. Ryan leaned towards Serena. "They're throwing your own soldiers against you." Her jaw tightened. "Not soldiers. Prisoners. Like we once were. And today, they will see who truly binds them." The horn blared, and the battle began. The first wave charged, blades gleaming, shields locked. Ryan surged forward with a roar, spear in hand, and he met the rush with a brutal precision. Ducking under a cleaver, driving his spear into a gladiator's thigh, spinning to parry another strike. Sand sprayed with blood. The crowd screamed approval. Beside him, Serena was a whirlwind. Her twin blades flashed like lightning, carving arcs of crimson. She moved with deadly grace, every strike a statement, every parry a reminder of why she was the champion. But then, something changed. One of the gladiators, a broad-shouldered fighter with scarred blue skin, hesitated. His blade hovered, eyes flicking from Serena to Ryan. Recognition lit his face. "The alien!" he rasped, a voice crackling through the roar. "He fights not against us, but with us." Another gladiator faltered, then another. The counselors leaned forward, sensing danger. Ryan raised his voice, his words carried by the amplifiers of the arena. You've bled for their entertainment long enough. You've killed your brothers and sisters while they feasted above you. But look! He thrust his spear toward the dais. His voice thunder. They fear you. They fear us. The crowd rippled. A murmur spread, growing into shouts. One gladiator dropped his blade, and another turned his weapon toward the terraces, toward the council guards. Serena's golden eyes blazed. She raised her bloodied sword high. Champions of the arena, fight not for them, but for your freedom. The arena erupted. What began as a spectacle became a revolution. Gladiators turned on their overseers, chains clattered to the ground, and the sand became a storm of rebellion as fighters rushed the walls, climbing toward the council stands. The crowd at first was stunned, then surged with it. Some shouted for order, but more screamed for freedom, their voices shaking the foundations of the arena. Rocks and debris rained down from the terraces as citizens joined the revolt. The council guards drew formation, firing energy bolts into the masses, but Ryan and Serena led the charge, smashing through their line like living thunder. Ryan tore a rifle from a fallen guard and blasted a path forward. Serena cleaved through armor, her scarlet hair flying like a war banner. Together they fought up the steps toward the dais where the council huddled in fear. The High Counselor's voice shrieked through the amplifiers. Stop this madness! Obey your masters! But the people no longer listened. At the dais, Ryan and Serena stood before the council at last. The High Counselor cowered, silk stained with sweat, her jeweled crown slipping. You have doomed us all, she spat. A child of your blood and this will bring only ruin. The arena will collapse. Our order will die. Serena's blade pressed against her throat, and her voice rang like steel. Then let it die. And she struck. The High Counselor's crown clattered to the stone, rolling into the blood-soaked sand below. The arena shook with the roar of triumph. Chains fell, guards fled. The people surged forward, no longer bound by fear. And in the heart of it all, Ryan and Serena stood side by side, bloodied, breathless, victorious. She leaned close, her forehead resting against his. Today, we burned the old world. Ryan smiled grimly, tightened his arm around her waist. Then let's build a new one, for us, and for what comes next. Above them, the sky thundered with the cries of a people freed. Chapter 7. The Birth of a New Dawn. The arena smoldered long after the last cries faded. Smoke curled from toppled braziers, mingling with the metallic stench of blood. The sands, once a stage for carnage, were now the foundation of rebellion. Broken weapons littered the ground, and the chants of the crowd still echoed from the terraces like aftershocks. Ryan stood on the dais, chest heaving, blood streaking his arms. Serena leaned on her blade beside him, her armor battered but unbroken. Around them, the last council guards threw down their weapons, their fear eclipsing their loyalty. It was over, or so they thought. The first days after the uprising were chaos. The citadel's towers glowed with fire, the city below roared with unrest. Word of the council's fall spread like wildfire, carried by gladiators, servants, and citizens alike. Some hailed Serena as a liberator. Others whispered fear of her alien consort, who defied death in the arena. Ryan found little rest. At night, he and Serena collapsed into stolen hours together, her body curling against his, her scarlet hair damp with sweat and ash. But when morning came, the weight of their actions pressed down once more. They will strike back, Serena muttered one dawn, her golden eyes sharp even in exhaustion. The council was not the whole of the old order. Generals remain, governors, priests. They will rally, if only to protect their power. Ryan brushed a strand of hair from her face. Then we rally faster. Her hand rested against her stomach unconsciously. For their sake. Ryan's breath caught. The reality of it hit him harder than any blade. Their child. Impossible. Miraculous. It was the future they were now fighting to protect. The counter-strike came sooner than they expected. 3 nights after the arena's fall, as people filled the streets in celebration, the sky itself thundered. Warships blotted out the stars, descending from the orbital fleets loyal to the Council's remnants. The bombardment began in the outer districts. Explosions painted the night crimson, shattering spires and tearing through the marketplace. The people screamed, scattering in terror. Ryan stood at the balcony of the palace, their palace now, watching the fire rain down. They're burning the city just to bury us. Serena's face hardened. Then we take the fight to the skies. The next hours blurred into battle. Serena gathered gladiators and soldiers who had thrown off their chains, organizing them into a strike force. Ryan moved among them, giving orders, teaching tactics from wars fought back on Earth. Their forces were raw, but burning with purpose. They stormed the Citadel's hangars, where sleek fighter craft rested under guard. Ryan fought tooth and nail and claw to seize one, smashing through armored troops, blasting them down with scavenged rifles. By dawn, the rebels had taken to the skies. The city quaked as dogfights tore through the clouds, Serena herself piloting a captured strike ship, with Ryan manning its guns. Explosions rippled across the heavens. The old regime's warships, massive and gleaming, unleashed torrents of fire. However, the smaller strike ships of the rebels darted among them like furious wasps, tearing holes in their hulls. Ryan's voice was raw as he shouted over the comms. Hit their flag vessel! Cut off the head and the body will scatter! Serena's golden eyes glowed with determination. She steered her ship through enemy fire, weaving between plasma bursts. Hold steady, Ryan! Together they drove their guns into the flagship's engines. A plume of light consumed its core, the explosion cascading through the vessel until it split apart in a storm of fire. The fleet broke apart. One by one the ships turned tail, retreating beyond the planet's orbit. The skies were theirs, but victory carried a price. When they crashed, Serena walked through the cheering crowds, armor cracked, stained with blood. The people chanted her name, raising their fists to the heavens. Ryan followed, his body aching, but his eyes locked only on her, and she collapsed. Ryan caught her before she hit the floor, his heart hammering. He carried her to the healers, his voice breaking with fury. Save her. Save them both. The healers worked feverishly, whispering about the strangeness of her blood, the mingling of human and alien strands. Hours passed like centuries. Ryan refused to leave her side. At last Serena stood. Her hand reached weakly for him, her voice a rasp. Ryan. He gripped her hands, tears stinging his eyes. I'm here. Her golden eyes softened. They are strong. Our child. Stronger than me. Relief crashed through him. He pressed his forehead to hers. Then we'll give them a world worth being born into. The months that followed were unlike anything Ryan had imagined. The arena was dismantled stone by stone, its sand carried out and scattered so no tyrant could use them again. Where it once stood, a plaza was raised, a place of assembly, of debate, of memory. The people crowned Serena not as champion, but as sovereign, yet she refused the throne of the council. Instead, she held court in the open plaza where all could see her, where the people's voice mingled with her own. Ryan became more than consort. He became advisor, bridge between species, symbol of the impossible union that had shattered centuries of blood. Some saw him as a hero. Others still spat the word alien, but none could deny the fire he had brought. And as Serena's belly swelled, the whispers turned into awe. One night, beneath a sky littered with unfamiliar constellations, Ryan stood with Serena on the palace balcony. The city below glowed with lanterns and celebration, the people alive with hope. Her hand rested on her stomach. Do you think they will accept them? A child born of two worlds? Ryan wrapped his arm around her, pulling her close. They'll have no choice. That child will be the future, whether they're ready for it or not. Serena leaned into him, her scarlet hair brushing his cheek. You speak like a sovereign. He chuckled, kissing her temple. I speak like a father. The birth came with thunder. Storms raged across the city, lightning splitting the sky as if the heavens themselves bore witness. Serena labored through the night, her cries echoing down the palace halls. Ryan held her hand through every agonizing moment, his heart pounding with fear and pride. And then at dawn, the child was born. Blue-skinned like Serena, but with Ryan's dark hair and piercing green eyes. The infant let out a cry that seemed to silence the storm itself. Serena wept, cradling the tiny life against her chest. Ryan stood in awe, unable to speak. Around them, healers and guards fell silent. A new world had entered theirs. Serena looked up at him, her golden eyes shimmering with tears. Our heir. Ryan leaned down, pressing his lips to her forehead. Our hope. Our son. The people gathered in the plaza when the news spread. Tens of thousands filled the streets, their voices rising in a chant that shook the city. Serena stepped forward onto the balcony, her son in her arms, Ryan at her side. The roar of the people was deafening. This was no longer the arena, no longer the rule of tyrants, of the council. It was the dawn of something new, something forged in blood, love, and defiance. Ryan raised his voice over the crowd. The arena is no more. The council is no more. Today begins a new age, not of slaves and masters, but of a free people. And with this child, born of two worlds, we swear to never bow to chains again. The crowd erupted. Fists rose, banners unfurled, and the cry of freedom thundered across the city. Serena's eyes met Ryan's, and she pressed their son into his arms, her voice a whisper only he could hear. We did it. Ryan looked at her, at his son, at the blazing horizon of a world reborn. No, he said softly, with a smile that was equal parts triumph and exhaustion. We've only just begun. The dawn broke over the city, golden light spilling across shattered spires and rising banners. And for the first time, Ryan felt not like a prisoner nor a warrior, but a man who had found home. Thank you for listening. And remember, this was told by a human, not AI. And more stories will be on the way. Stay tuned. And if you liked it, hit that like button. Hit subscribe. Stay tuned for more.